Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick live at the 2025 NADA show. I'm not really sure if you're ready for this show. We've had a lot of fun here, but we're about to have some fun right now. We got Kerri who's the Chief Marketing Officer of AutoFi, as well as Joe St. John, Chief Customer Officer at AutoFi. I know you know both of these individuals. They need no introduction. They're all over the automotive industry doing great things for dealers all over the country. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule. Your booth is on fire, so thank you for breaking away and spending some time with us and talking shop. How's the show going so far?
It is, we were a little worried with the weather,
but
I must say it is better than we expected. The dealers that are here obviously had to weather through, no pun intended, a lot to get here, and so they're very dialed in and interested, and so the quality is great, right, in terms of the conversation.
Yeah, I did not expect to be this tired by this day. Like, this is the first time to sit down, and the second day I was like, oh, yeah, I'm sitting down, all right.
Right, that's no question. And then the story you told me before we got recording about having to get t-shirts remade, and wow.
Yes, so
kudos to you for doing all that.
25 employees. We knew our flights were going to get canceled, so we decided to do multiple caravans. My team flew from California to Dallas.
What?
He drove from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I basically took the AutoFi van and I drove around the country picking people up.
Employees.
And then I brought them all down here, 4-wheel drive.
Oh my!
And then our uniforms
Sprinter,
got lost because UPS wasn't delivering.
Oh my God!
And so on my 8-hour drive here, I called a New Orleans T-shirt printer. They printed 25 only white shirts with AutoFi on it, and that was our uniform yesterday.
That is a riot. That's an incredible story. Kudos to you for being both of you
resourceful.
Actually. I mean, she very resourceful. So, okay, now we got to get serious. So COVID caused most dealers, as you know, early on to go, hey, we're going to take this whole deal on digital or online. Digital retailing really became, all the rage out there. And are dealers should they still look at this and prioritize digital retailing?
I think the answer is absolutely yes. Okay. Most customers are still shopping online, right? The majority are shopping online. The majority, if you look at the research, 8 out of 10 want to do parts of the experience themselves online before they go into the showroom. And we know that can speed up the experience.
Sure.
But I want to caveat and point out that it takes more than just the online experience to truly enhance the entire sales process. It still takes nearly 3 hours to sell a car, despite 90% of dealers embracing digital retailing. And really where the rubber hits the road is the showroom. And we've spent a lot of time this year really dissecting, why does it take 3 hours? Why don't we have more productivity out of our people? And a lot of that is because we haven't invested the time to understand how technology can empower that showroom experience.
Right. There's no question about it. I see you shaking your head. Do you want to add to that?
Kerri made me go out and sell cars for weeks on the road and report back what I was seeing out of the marketplace as I was actually working car deals at dealerships.
That was like a reality show, by the way.
We should have recorded it.
We filmed it.
Like, I literally, I would get the golf shirt with the employee, and I would fill out like the new employee packet, and the GMs would be laughing like you. It's like, oh, great. And then I would be like, this is Joe, the new salesperson. And then some salesmen would be like, hey, will you go pull this car up for me? I have a customer coming in. I'm like, yeah, I'll go pull your car up for you. And I think it was shocking to me because I spent my majority of my career in retail, and I've been out of it long enough that when you go back into it with new eyes, you just see all of these dead steps and all these start and stops. And if you watch the body language of the customer, what you see is all of their like buyer motivation and temperature, it just collapses. And then we try to keep them revived long enough to get them to say yes.
Sure.
And with technology, you can automate so much of what's happening and really remove the need for this back and forth that is eroding the trust of the customer and eroding the profits of the dealership.
Yeah, no question about it. Kudos to you for doing that, because I will tell you, there's not many tech entrepreneurs and or their teams that will go out and be on the front lines and in the trenches. No, seriously. So they lose that real life scenario, and they're out building a technology that you go, it doesn't really fit with what's happening on the front line. Right?
Jim, it was wild. Like, it was, I got to tell you, going back out there and doing that, and then having the ability to get with Kerri, and she's looking at all this data, and get with our product team our ability to iterate really quickly, to go, oh, we need to do it this way instead of this way.
Right.
We were building product on the fly while I was selling cars with it to understand how do we really unlock that human potential of the salesperson and empower the desk to have real control of the deal, all while pushing towards an optimized outcome for the customer.
Yeah, for sure. What do you say to a dealer that is hesitant to enable their people to use technology?
Well, I think you have to look at, one, we have to dissect, like, why do we have these fears?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it in our industry is that we can be slow to change. We can think about technology as a replacement to us as people.
Right.
And so that's where the ego gets involved. And we say, hey, I'm a sales manager. I've been doing
Right.
this so long.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. No one can do it better.
Right.
Where I'm the F&I director, no one can do it better.
Right.
But when you think about technology in our everyday lives, it enhances us. It makes us smarter. It doesn't replace us. I drive to my kid's soccer game every day, 4 days a week, and yet I still pull up Google Maps. Not because I'm not a good
You might
driver.
want to see somebody on that one.
Right? I know the route. I know the route better than anyone else,
Yeah.
but guess what I don't know? I don't know if there's an accident.
That's right. Good
And in
point.
real time,
Yeah.
that technology can tell
Yeah.
me, don't take this road, take
Right.
that road.
That's right.
And so I think the car business has to think about technology not as a threat or a replacement to our people,
Right.
but as a way to enable me to be smarter, to work more efficiently,
That's right.
so that I can spend the time doing value-added things. And
Yeah.
me calculating a payment when a salesperson has a minor change to the deal where they have to go back and forth to me multiple times,
Right.
that's not a good use of my time.
And the customer, it frustrates the heck out of them, right? I mean, they are like, what are you doing? Why, for a minor thing like this, how come these salespeople that are very bright individuals, how come a dealer's not, trusting them with that?
So
to be able
Jim,
to do that?
this blows my mind. I teach as a guest instructor at NADA Dealer Academy in their Variable Ops 2 class. And I go through the data of the modern consumer, and everybody agrees that the buying behavior of consumers today is wildly different than it was in 1998 when I took my first up, right? Yet when you look at the road to the sale, that a new salesperson today, if they got sent to training, would learn, it's basically the exact same road to the sale I learned when I started selling cars. It's the same road to the sale you learned when you started selling
That's
cars.
exactly right.
Yeah, we have a customer that comes in that's used to like hitting a button and deodorant showing up at their house.
Yeah.
So we have this disconnect. And I think that the question you asked that really, what sticks out to me is, we have these sacred cows. Like
Yeah.
we have these ideas that are gospel. Okay, you start with a meet and greet. Then you do an interview and a fact finder, a needs analysis, whatever, qualify. Then you land on the perfect car. Then you do the walk around and the test drive. And that's the road to the sale that we teach. That's not what the customer's doing.
Right.
Customers want to answer questions. They know what car they want. They're not going to 5 dealerships anymore before they buy. They're going to 1, maybe 2.
Yes, right.
Which means when they show up to the dealership, they've already answered a lot of those questions. And when Kerri talks about the disconnect, if we're not picking that process up where the customer is, if we're not meeting them where they are, and we're starting them back over at square one of the gospel that I learned when I became a salesperson in the 90s, we're basically enforcing a negative customer experience in a way that erodes growth, it erodes our ability to close car
Right.
deals. It makes it harder for us to get to the outcomes we're trying to get as a dealer.
That's right.
I love in some ways being an outsider to retail in some ways. Like I did not sell cars and I was reminded of
So
that
maybe you come
for
at it from the
many
consumer
years
standpoint.
in the industry.
Yeah.
And I spent my first 12 years at JD Power
Yeah.
doing CSI surveys from a consumer standpoint.
right.
And I think what we have to do as an industry is take ourselves out of the experience and look at it from the consumer standpoint. Because we oftentimes ask dealers, well, how long does it take to get a first pencil out? And the answer is usually 15 minutes, 30 minutes. And I often say, what do you think? Like, put yourself in the consumer's shoes. In fact, I'll walk out for 15 minutes right now
Yeah.
and let you sit and let's see how long that feels for you.
Oh, it's
but more importantly,
forever.
what do you think they think you're doing when
That's
you're
right.
talking to your manager at that desk?
Exactly.
You know, Jim, one of the car deals I worked, and I know Kerri and I will talk a lot, but one of the
Good
car deals
stuff,
I
love it.
worked, there was a salesperson I was working on the desk. Her name was Miranda. She was freaking out. I was like, I'll just take the numbers out for you. Okay. So they hand me the pencil. I go out. I lay it down. Okay, it's 60 months at 10% down. You're at a $685 payment. Is that what you would like to do? And the young lady goes, I forgot to tell Miranda I was planning on putting $5,000 down because I've saved up some money. What would it be with $5,000 down? Well, what do I have to do now?
Right.
I get up, I walk 25 yards that way.
Yep.
I stand at a desk for 5-10 minutes.
That's right.
I get my pencil back, I take it back to her.
And that's if you're maybe one or two in line. If it's a Saturday afternoon and you're number 6 in line.
45 minutes,
Right.
And so I go there, they give me the numbers, I go back, I set it down. She goes, oh, well, what would it be at 72 months? I know you have 2.9%. Now I go back, and you see, it's not this negotiation that's causing this time. It's the data flow is basically sneaker net of me walking back and forth to a desk to answer any little question that the customer has.
That's crazy. And it's 2024 and we're still talking about this. It's amazing.
And we have this new generation that is coming in that is only going to exacerbate the situation. I think Gen Z, and I'm going to get my numbers right, they might be 25-30% of the workforce. They're going to be the majority of the workforce.
That's
so we have this generation of digital natives who have never worked with paper, and we are arming them with outdated weapons.
That's right.
With paper and pen to negotiate a deal for the second largest purchase
with
we'll
the
ever
best
buy.
armed customer they've ever had, because the customer has all the information.
Right.
The customer's done 14 hours of research on average. They know what the rates are. They know the customer knows more than they've ever known, and our salespeople basically go out with a sheet of paper and no information.
Right. And the consumer is in the driver's seat today. They're letting us know all along the way, you've got to live up to, what our expectations are of you as a dealer, right? And if you don't, guess what? You're a click away from 14 other dealerships.
Absolutely.
Well, and the car buying experience is unlike most other experiences from a consumer standpoint. You said the consumer's in the driver's seat. Well, they should feel like they're in the driver's seat, like they have some choice,
Right?
Like it's their decision,
rather than going into prison for 4 hours,
versus going to prison.
Right.
And I think what we always talk about is how do we put choices in front of them so it feels like their decision?
Yeah.
Because a lot of things we do in the car business is, here is the car, do you want that or not? Here is the price, do you want that or not? I got you approved for later, yes or no, versus here are the choices. Let's work this deal together.
That's right.
And
Which is
you
the
talk
way
lot
a
about
negotiation
that.
should go.
Yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? Yeah. There's no question about it. Kerri Wise, Chief Marketing Officer at AutoFi, joined by Joe Crazy St. John, Chief Customer Officer at AutoFi. I love interviewing you guys, and I'm glad it's at the end of the day because
I'm actually just as crazy as Joe.
I know.
just contain it
No,
slightly better.
she's not only that, but in
polished and
comparison.
professional.
Also, in comparison, he's
Jim,
so out there.
you
look normal.
I could sit and talk to you for like hours at a time.
Pretty
I
much.
I just need a cup of coffee and we just hang out and talk for a long time.
I'm down. Let's do it.
We'll have to figure that out.
Clear the schedule.
Okay.
That's right. Thanks so much, guys.
Hey,
Always
thank
great.
you.
Always
so
great.
much.